Welcome back to Shergroup TV, and we're going to take a look at possession orders. If you're a landlord, a housing association, and you've won a judgment in your favour, what is the quickest and easiest way in what seems to be quite an onerous process to many, and how could you help me if I was a landlord?
Well, I think the first thing is that you'll have won your possession order in the county court. And so you will be looking to enforce that possession order as quickly as possible.
Okay.
One of the problems with the county court service at the moment is that in certain courts it's taking anything from 4 to 16 weeks to be able to actually carry out the eviction process. And that means that landlords are losing money and they're not being able to re-let their property quickly to get an income generating tenant in there. So what we want to do in this process is actually telescope down the time that it takes to get the tenant out, get them rehoused, and that will be the responsibility of the local authority. But for the landlord, it's very much about getting back possession so you can get a new tenant in.
Okay, and the paperwork that's involved is fairly lengthy, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Unlike money judgments, this is not such a straightforward procedure as you might expect,
Okay.
bearing in mind that somebody is going to lose their home at the end of the process.
Okay.
So it is a more in-depth procedure. What you start off with is a county court possession order, which on the face of it again looks a fairly simple document, and within that possession order there will be permission granted to enforce in the High Court. And the reason for that is the county court, if you don't have that, you'll have to enforce in the county court. So we want landlords to get used to, and all those types of landlords that you mentioned, social landlords, housing associations, local authorities, we want them to feel comfortable in transferring to the High Court and getting this permission. So if anyone's stuck on that, we can help them get their procedure right. That's for starters. But you will have a possession order. Now what you need to do with that is, it'll say in there, permission granted to enforce at the High Court. A couple of years ago the law changed and the judges became naturally concerned that due process was given to people who were the defendants in these orders, and that they were going to be evicted fairly with the right amount of notice. So you have to make an application to a High Court master for permission to enforce the order. So the permission's been given in the county court, but they're going to double up on that permission almost, and a High Court judge is going to review the paperwork to make sure that everything is in order, and that's done on an application. An application is made before a High Court master, which is a form of judge, and the master will be looking to make sure that the tenant has been given at least 7 days notice that the eviction is going to take place. And this was something the judges were concerned about. It's dealt with in the High Court rules, the civil procedure rules. So what Shergroup does is it actually takes the possession order that you've got and it prepares all the paperwork to support the application and applying to the High Court for the writ of possession. Because again, if you don't follow an experienced provider in doing this process, you can come unstuck, and you don't want to be in front of a High Court master with paperwork that isn't correct. I mean, this is you know, going in front of a master is a bit daunting, and you don't want to do it unless you really know what you've got to do and what the master is looking for, because they're a procedural judge and they like to have things absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
So you will go in front of the master with a notice that Shergroup will have prepared, and the master, if having reviewed the paperwork he is satisfied that everything as he wants to see it, he will grant an order for permission to issue the writ of possession in the High Court. And as I say, this is like a safety net really to make sure that tenants are evicted with the proper notice and due process of law. And he will set out in his order that he's looked at everything and he's happy for the order to be enforced in the High Court. What then happens is we attend, again usually in London, at the main court office, and we issue a writ of possession. And what the writ of possession does, it's got my name on it, and it authorises me to recover possession of the land.
Okay.
And what my team will do is they will set up an eviction date and time when that's going to happen. And what we do, as I said earlier, is we telescope the entire process into about a 7-day window.
Okay.
So from the time we get your possession order to the time you get eviction, it's going to be somewhere in the region of 7 to 10 days. And in that time, you'll have only lost 1 week, maybe 2 weeks rent. Mm-hmm. Rather than waiting 4 weeks, maybe 16 weeks of rent. Now, average rents in London are running at about £375 a week.
Yeah.
So you've only got to do a multiplier of 16 of £375. You're losing a lot of money in the delay of the county court system. So that's why we advocate for people that need possession to come into our system, and we'll help them get it through as quickly as possible.
And what sort of charges or commercial arrangements do you have for your service engagement?
Yes, so we charge a flat fee of £499 plus VAT to actually manage a landlord and tenant possession. Yeah. There are court fees on top of that that we charge separately, and once we've in funds, then we basically put the whole procedure in process, and you can pay us by card.
Okay, so to summarise, really it's about engaging a team that will manage the process quickly and swiftly through compliance. So
Yes.
there are no errors, no
No.
delays,
No.
and you can get the landlord back on track so that he can earn proper income from his property assets.
That's right, and I think if it's a landlord who is concerned about reputation, which of course many social landlords and local authority landlords are concerned about reputation, these evictions, I just want to point out, are done very professionally, very discreetly, and in a way in which the public are handled with respect.
Yeah,
I think is the word.
and that I think is a key point, because your company is hundreds of years old,
Yes.
so it comes with a set of ethics
Yes.
And social responsibility.
Yes, it does.
And that makes a massive difference to the way that these legal enforcement acts are actually executed.
Yeah, eviction is not a nice word.
It's very emotive, isn't
It's
it?
a very emotive and it's a very controversial subject.
Yeah.
So it's important that the people that staff the service follow the rules to the letter,
Yeah.
and that the men and women that carry out the evictions do it, as I say, professionally and discreetly, and without causing any unnecessary angst to the people that are suffering this consequence.
Claire, thank you. That's a really good and comprehensive overview. So if you are a landlord and you have an eviction to carry out, simply click the button with this video, and within 24 hours you can get Shergroup acting on your behalf to ease the way, so your eviction order is carried out swiftly, quickly, and with full compliance. That's all from us now. If you've enjoyed this, subscribe, and we hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.